She vanished without a trace from a hotel with a history written in blood. No witnesses, no screams, just a haunting surveillance video and a body found where no one should ever be. Elisa Lam's story is not just a mystery, it's a descent into the eerie heart of downtown Los Angeles, where the lines between fact and nightmare blur. One moment she was alive, exploring the city on her solo adventure. The next, she became the center of a case that would captivate the internet, shake a city, and leave behind more questions than answers. On January 26, 2013, Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles, California, during a solo trip across the west coast of the United States. The 21-year-old Canadian student had been chronicling her journey through social media, particularly her Tumblr blog. Bright, curious, and open about her struggles with mental illness, Elisa was the daughter of immigrants from Hong Kong and a student at the University of British Columbia. Her trip was intended as a brief adventure before resuming school. She checked into a historic yet ominous building in downtown LA, the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel was no ordinary place. Located in a grim area known as Skid Row, the hotel had a long-standing reputation marred by violence, suicides, and even associations with serial killers. It opened in 1927 and was originally designed to be a lavish destination for business travelers, but it quickly devolved into a haven for transient residents and the homeless. Over time, it became infamous for its dark past, housing serial killers like Richard Ramirez and Jack Unterweger. Elisa's choice to stay there seemed like an unfortunate coincidence, but it soon became central to one of the most unsettling disappearances in modern history. Elisa was initially assigned to a shared room with other female travelers, but within 2 days she was moved to a private room due to complaints about her strange behavior. Her behavior included leaving notes on beds, asking people to go away, talking to herself, and locking the door repeatedly. The hotel staff noted that she was alone and often seen acting peculiar, but not necessarily alarming. She was last seen by hotel employees on January 31st, 2013, when she was reportedly headed to explore the city. That would be the last time anyone confirmed seeing her alive. When Elisa's family in Vancouver stopped hearing from her, alarm bells began ringing. She had been in daily contact with them throughout her trip. After missing her scheduled checkout and failing to board her flight to Santa Cruz, the family reported her missing. The Los Angeles Police Department took the case seriously and launched an investigation. Detectives interviewed hotel staff, scoured through her social media, and began reviewing surveillance footage. Yet for days, no solid leads emerged. It was as if Elisa had vanished into thin air. Things took a darker turn on February 14th, 2013, when LAPD released a security video that would become one of the most watched and analyzed pieces of footage in internet history. The video showed Elisa in a hotel elevator, acting in an extremely erratic manner. She pressed multiple buttons, peeked out into the hallway, jumped back as if someone was following her, and made strange hand gestures as if communicating with someone or something invisible. Her behavior appeared paranoid, frightened, and possibly hallucinating. The video lasted just under 4 minutes, but it was enough to terrify and intrigue millions. But soon, unsettling questions emerged that no one could ignore. Surveillance footage from the hotel's elevator captured Elisa acting strangely, pressing multiple buttons, stepping in and out, and even hiding in the corner as if she was being watched or followed. No one else appeared in the video, yet her terrified expressions suggested an unseen presence. Was this simply a moment of panic or confusion? Or did it hint at something far darker lurking within the hotel's walls? The footage quickly went viral, fueling countless theories that range from paranormal interference to a sinister human stalker, none of which police were able to confirm or deny. Keep supporting us by hitting like and subscribe. The elevator video sparked a wildfire of speculation online. Reddit threads, YouTube videos, and conspiracy blogs erupted with theories ranging from schizophrenia to supernatural possession. Many viewers claimed that Elisa was being followed by someone who never appeared on camera, while others suggested she was hiding from a threat only she could see. Her movements, timing, and gestures were dissected frame by frame by internet sleuths. To some, the footage resembled a horror movie scene. It became a central mystery. What happened after Elisa walked out of the elevator? Meanwhile, hotel guests were experiencing something deeply disturbing. Several had complained about the water pressure in their rooms being unusually low. Some reported that the water looked dark, had a strange taste, and smelled foul. Others noticed discoloration when brushing their teeth or showering. These complaints led a maintenance worker to investigate the water tanks located on the hotel's roof. The tank supplied water to the guest rooms, kitchen, and even the cafe. What he discovered would change the case entirely and add a new layer of horror. On the morning of February 19, 2013, hotel maintenance worker Santiago Lopez climbed to the roof and opened one of the 4 water tanks. Floating inside, naked and lifeless, was the body of Elisa Lam. The discovery shocked the entire city and stunned the online community that had been following her disappearance. The water tank was sealed and elevated, with heavy lids that required effort to open. It was not a place someone could easily access, especially alone. Even more disturbing, the only access point to the roof was via locked doors and alarm stairwells. Yet the circumstances surrounding Elisa's death raised more questions than answers. How could she have accessed the locked rooftop alone, climbed into a water tank with a narrow opening, and managed to stay alive inside a confined, water-filled space long enough to drown? Some experts argued it was physically improbable without assistance, sparking theories of foul play or a hidden accomplice. Adding to the mystery, Elisa's phone was never recovered, and no one saw or heard her enter the rooftop area. These gaps in the story suggested a chilling possibility that her death was not a tragic accident, but something far more sinister concealed beneath layers of silence. The question immediately arose: how did Elisa Lam get inside that water tank? Authorities faced immense pressure to provide answers. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office conducted an autopsy, but their findings only fueled more speculation. The cause of death was ruled as accidental drowning, with Elisa's bipolar disorder listed as a significant factor. There were no signs of trauma, no evidence of sexual assault, and no illegal drugs found in her system. Only prescription medication for her mental health conditions was present in therapeutic doses. Despite the official conclusion, many were not convinced. The report had strange inconsistencies. It mentioned that her body was found in a state of advanced decomposition, but that her clothes, originally seen on her in the elevator video, were found floating separately in the tank. There was no explanation as to how she managed to remove her clothes, open the heavy tank lid, and climb in. Additionally, the rooftop access required keys or a triggered alarm system, yet no alarms were reported that night. These facts left investigators and internet detectives baffled. The physical logistics of the water tank made the accidental drowning theory difficult to accept. Each tank stood at least 8 feet tall and was positioned on a concrete platform. To access the top, one had to climb a ladder and then lift a heavy lid. Even if Elisa had somehow made it up there during a mental health episode, it remained unclear how she would have closed the lid behind her, or if the lid was ever closed at all. When her body was found, the lid was reportedly open, though this detail also varied in different reports. The hotel staff denied any knowledge of how Elisa could have reached the roof without triggering alarms. The doors to the rooftop were locked and had alarm systems connected to the front desk. Investigators attempted to reenact Elisa's possible path to the roof. There was one route, a fire escape staircase, that bypassed the alarms and could be accessed through a window. However, it would have required precise knowledge of the building layout or desperation during a psychological break. Still, there were no fingerprints, footprints, or witnesses placing her there. As news of the grisly discovery spread, so did a wave of public outrage and morbid fascination. Guests who had unknowingly consumed or bathed in water from the contaminated tank were horrified. Lawsuits were filed against the Cecil Hotel by guests in Elisa Lam's family, citing negligence and wrongful death. The hotel denied liability, maintaining that Elisa's behavior and actions were outside their control. Still, public sentiment turned sour, and the hotel's already infamous reputation darkened further. In an effort to escape its legacy, it later rebranded itself as Stay on Main. Online, theories began to spiral out of control. Some pointed to the video footage, claiming it had been tampered with. Observers noted that the timestamp jumped and parts of the video seemed to be missing. Others questioned the hotel's check-in records and floor plans. A more extreme group suggested Elisa was targeted by a government mind control program or killed for being part of a dark conspiracy. Though far-fetched, the lack of satisfying answers left the case open to any and all interpretations, especially in an era of viral internet mystery solving. One of the eeriest aspects of the case was its connection to a tuberculosis outbreak that occurred shortly after Elisa's death, right on Skid Row, where the hotel was located. The test used to detect TB was called the LAMELISA test, a coincidence too strange for many to ignore. It fed into conspiracy theories that Elisa's death was somehow staged or symbolic. While experts dismissed the connection as purely coincidental, it added fuel to an already burning fire of internet obsession. The Elisa Lam case had now become part myth, part tragedy, part puzzle. Investigators revisited Elisa's mental health history as a central element of their conclusion. Her family confirmed she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression and had struggled with managing her medications in the past. Elisa had also posted frequently on her Tumblr blog about feeling isolated, lost, and emotionally overwhelmed. The toxicology report revealed that she had not been taking all her prescribed medications at the time of her death, which could have led to a psychotic episode. But critics of this theory argued that mental illness alone could not explain the mechanics of her death. But even with her mental health struggles brought to light, unsettling contradictions surfaced. Friends and family insisted Elisa was careful and cautious, not someone likely to wander into danger alone. Yet surveillance cameras showed gaps where she simply vanished from view for long stretches, only to reappear acting confused or frightened. Some investigators whispered of a possible cover-up, suggesting that someone else might have been involved, but remained hidden behind the hotel's tangled web of neglect and secrecy. Was Elisa truly lost to her own mind? Or had unseen forces at the Cecil Hotel played a darker role in her fate? If you are still with us, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Some medical professionals stated that bipolar disorder, especially untreated, can lead to disorganized thinking, delusions, and even erratic behavior such as disrobing. These symptoms matched Elisa's last seen behavior. The coroner believed she entered the tank of her own volition, while in a dissociative or manic state, possibly believing she needed to hide or escape. Yet again, others challenged how someone in such a fragile condition could navigate the building's physical barriers. The possibility that she was influenced, coerced, or followed remained on the table for many. Police interviewed hotel guests, staff, and anyone seen interacting with Elisa in the days before her disappearance. Unfortunately, no substantial leads emerged. Hotel surveillance footage only showed her in common areas, most notably the elevator. There were no images or reports of anyone suspicious entering or leaving her room. There were also no known friends in Los Angeles at the time. Despite extensive searching, no witnesses came forward who saw her access the rooftop or climb into the tank. The case was starting to hit a wall. Law enforcement did explore the possibility of foul play. Investigators examined her body for bruises, restraint marks, or signs of physical assault. None were found. Toxicology screens ruled out drug-facilitated crimes. There were no signs of a struggle in her hotel room. No suicide note was recovered. Elisa's phone was never found, leading to suspicions that someone may have taken it after her death. But without concrete evidence, these remain theories. The LAPD officially closed the case in June 2013, listing it as an accidental death. For many, the case was anything but closed. Internet detectives continued to dig into overlooked details, pointing to gaps in the hotel's security protocols. Why weren't the alarm systems triggered? Why was the water tank unchecked for so long? Was there someone hiding in the hotel who knew how to evade detection? The building's shady history added weight to these concerns. With a record of housing sex offenders and the homeless, some believe someone could have harmed Elisa and disposed of her body in the tank as a cover-up. Despite exhaustive investigations, one unsettling fact remained. The hotel's security systems inexplicably failed at the worst possible moment. Alarm sensors around the rooftop water tanks, designed to detect unauthorized access, were mysteriously inactive. Staff who routinely inspected the premises admitted they had never checked the tanks in weeks. Some theorists speculated that someone with inside knowledge might have manipulated the system, or worse, deliberately concealed evidence. This chilling possibility blurred the line between accident and premeditated crime, casting suspicion on an institution already steeped in a shadowy past. Adding to the mystery were earlier guest reports of strange activity at the Cecil Hotel, even before Elisa's stay. Some claimed to have heard screams in the hallways or seen shadowy figures. Staff members, too, had anonymously admitted that the building gave them an uneasy feeling. While none of this could be used as factual evidence, it painted the Cecil Hotel as a character in the story itself, its history inseparable from Elisa's fate. The lore around the building only deepened, transforming a personal tragedy into a global urban legend. One of the most notable twists came when a man named Morbid, a death metal musician, was wrongfully targeted by online users. Internet sleuths found that he had stayed at the Cecil Hotel around the time of Elisa's disappearance and posted dark, horror-themed content on YouTube. He became the subject of intense online harassment, receiving death threats and having his life turned upside down. It was later proven he wasn't even in Los Angeles at the time. His case served as a dark example of how amateur investigations can cross ethical lines and ruin innocent lives. The Lam family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Cecil Hotel in September 2013. They alleged the hotel was negligent in failing to ensure guest safety, especially given Elisa's visible distress in the days leading up to her death. The hotel responded by claiming that they could not have foreseen her accessing the water tank and that they were not responsible for the unforeseeable actions of a mentally ill guest. The legal battle brought renewed attention to the lack of mental health protocols in hospitality settings and the limitations of hotel liability. The court eventually sided with the hotel, dismissing the lawsuit in 2015. It ruled that Elisa's death was unforeseeable and that the hotel had taken reasonable steps to secure its premises. The Lam family received no compensation, and no individuals or entities were ever held legally responsible for the events leading to her death. Many felt the outcome was unjust. The ruling may have followed the letter of the law, but to critics, it ignored the broader questions about safety, responsibility, and the hotel's deeply troubling history. Justice in this case became a complex and philosophical issue. There was no killer to prosecute, no weapon to trace, and no confession to extract. Some believed justice was never served, that someone slipped through the cracks. Others viewed the case as a mental health tragedy rather than a criminal one. What was certain was that Elisa Lam's story struck a nerve across generations and continents. It was as much about a missing girl as it was about urban decay, untreated illness, and the dark corners of the human psyche. In 2021, Netflix released a docu-series titled Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. The four-part series examined Elisa's case, the hotel's history, and the culture of internet sleuthing. While it provided a detailed timeline and interviews with police, hotel staff, and journalists, many viewers criticized it for sensationalism and lack of closure. The documentary reignited interest in the case, but it also resurfaced trauma for Elisa's family. Her parents refused to be part of the series, choosing instead to grieve in private. The docu-series did succeed in introducing the general public to the concept of web sleuth culture. While online investigators can bring attention to cold cases, they also risk spreading misinformation and defaming innocent people. Elisa's case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of turning real tragedy into entertainment. The balance between awareness and exploitation became a central theme. The producers insisted they were honoring Elisa's memory, but many felt the show left too much unsaid, too many questions hanging. The legacy of the case remains both tragic and symbolic. Elisa Lam became a face not just of a mysterious death, but of mental health awareness. Her blog posts were later compiled into tribute pages where people from around the world left messages of empathy and sorrow. Readers connected with her poetic, introspective writing. She spoke of loneliness, the search for identity, and the struggle of living with bipolar disorder. In her words, many found pieces of themselves. Her death highlighted the invisibility and vulnerability of those fighting silent battles. Her case also impacted hotel safety policies. Following the media attention, many hotels began reassessing access to restricted areas like rooftops and water tanks. Some hospitality groups incorporated mental health training for staff to better recognize warning signs in guests. While these were small steps, they demonstrated how even unsolved or non-criminal cases can lead to systemic change. In this sense, Elisa's story contributed to progress, though at a heartbreaking cost. In downtown LA, the Cecil Hotel stands today as a ghost of its former self. Attempts were made to rebrand it, refurbish it, and distance it from its past. But the building's identity remains tied to its history of despair, mystery, and death. Tourists continue to visit the site, often for morbid curiosity. Some hope to feel Elisa's presence or capture something unexplainable. Others visit out of respect. It has become a dark landmark, a real-life setting of urban legend, and a symbol of unanswered questions. Elisa Lam's story remains a haunting enigma, one that continues to fascinate and terrify in equal measure. A young woman lost to a city full of secrets. Her disappearance and death expose the shadows lurking beneath the surface of urban life. Though official investigations closed, the unanswered questions and eerie footage ensure her memory lives on, a chilling reminder that some mysteries refuse to be solved, and some voices, once silenced, echo forever. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.